Age of Sigmar is changing again.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com. We have the new Generals Handbook, finally. We're going to try to keep this video short and sweet because there's been a lot of content out there, but there's still a lot of stuff that I feel like is relevant and needs to be talked about for all the changes coming to Age of Sigmar. And if you want to fast forward to the end, I'll give you my expert opinion on where we're at about this particular product. So the new Generals Handbook is here. I believe it's $35 US from Games Workshop. And unlike years past, it comes with 2 mini books, but you already pretty much knew that. So you're going to get your pitch battle profiles, which are all your points and everything. And the rest of the content for the Age of Sigmar is going to be right here. And then here's a little backer card that goes on the back of all of it. It's going to come shrink wrapped, designed in the UK, printed in China by CNC. So getting those imported, but they'd probably hit the warehouses before this whole tariff China fiasco thing that's happening right now that's affecting my beloved tree people. So I can't even play them quite yet. Regardless, all right, so let's jump into it. So first off, I know you're probably anxious to see all the points and everything in here. There is a bunch, 35 pages, and I kind of like the whole pull-out mentality of this. I kind of, wish that we had seen something like this sooner, but we have it here. And it's really cool to see, they put the asterisks just like last year. Anything that changed is going to have the asterisk next to it. They kind of went over a lot of the changes already on Warhammer Community, kind of gave you the broad scope of things, but there's 5 factions that are noticeably absent from any changes in here. You've got Slaanesh, the Fire Slayers, the Flesh Eater courts are also not in here. So there's the, the big 3. I think we said Fire Slayers. Gloomspite Gits also not in here or have any noticeable changes. And there's one more that I am forgetting, but I digress. It's not super important to this content here because you probably already know it. So regardless, all of those books came out kind of that in between period from when these got printed to now. So kind of everything, those 5 factions that received updates or received new battle tomes. Oh, Skaven, that's it. So that being said, there's some good and bad, and I'll talk about that at the end. So this is really neat. You can see a lot of the 35 pages of it. You've probably seen a lot of these point changes already. In the back they have the endless spells, additional pitch battle, one of the ones that are non-factionalized, additional stuff like chaos units, some of the older stuff. Pneuma engine is still 100 points. We just saw that come out recently, and I think that's the big stuff right there, except for some of the older kits that probably aren't seeing a whole lot of play, like the Bretonian, the Tomb King stuff, the Free Peoples, and the Wood Elves, the actual Wood Elves. Oh, and then they've got some of the Forge World stuff in the back as well. So, and some of it got changed. Morgul, how about that? That guy's really good. Okay, moving on to the actual content itself. So this is about a 105-page book, and you can tell it's definitely a little bit shorter than last year's Generals Handbook 2018, which takes into account all the pitch battle profiles. Opening this up, and I'm going to crack the spine because why not? It's my book, right? To help show you everything better. You can see that there is a ton of content in here. So you've got a solid bunch of content in here that is going to maybe appeal to certain types of gamers. So let's just run it down real quick. We've got open play, and we've already seen the previews on the army generators, the open play terrain, the close quarters battle generator, and the hidden agendas. And hidden agendas is actually going to come into play in the match play stuff for the meeting engagement tournaments as well over here, which we're going to talk about. But probably one of the most important pieces of content in this book is the player's code. And they talk about, they really get into it about how you need to value each other's time. And there was a test carried out at some of the American universities, both of which had codes of conduct that all students had signed up to, which included proviso about being honest and truthful. What the research found that was under normal circumstances, most people were prepared to cheat at the test, but if they were reminded people of the honor code that they had signed, it reduced the amount of cheating to 0. So what they're trying to say is, hey, people inherently want to do the right thing, and if they're reminded on how to respect your opponent just from things like being polite and respectful, tell the truth and never cheat,
offer to shake your opponent's hand, respect their private space, never deliberately waste of time during a game, and things like that, that folks will have a better game experience. Now, there's nothing in here about how any of that's going to be enforced or anything like that, but I think it's perhaps a step in the right direction. It's something we've never truly seen dictated, and not only dictated in here, but also dictated in this meeting engagement tournaments. Like, for their tournaments, you will get a copy of this, and they will be, hey, this is the copy, and you have to agree to this basically to play in Games Workshop events. So this is the first time for this, and I would imagine, if I had to guess, that this will kind of port over to 40K, because what we see generally in the Generals Handbook ports over to the chapter approved later in December for Warhammer 40K. So let's talk more about content here. Open War. That was basically what Sigmar was when it rolled out in June of 2015. It was just like, hey, just bring whatever and let's just have fun. That didn't work. We all know that by this point, right? So the General Handbook came out in 2016, the first one, attempted to fix all that, introduced the new ways to play, and it's been a better game ever since. But for folks that still want to just play whatever, now instead of just bringing whatever, you can do your army generator, which is cool. You can have different terrain, and I'll show you some of that here in a second. Going into narrative play, this is really cool. Streets of Death. It's not exactly Blood in the Streets from the old Mordheim days, but it's very similar. And also this Alexia, the Shattered City, also seems very similar too. It kind of has a Mordheim-y kind of feel to some narratives about actual street fights and things like that, which were basically Mordheim. So it feels like Mordheim light to me. Maybe it will to you as well. But having played in Mordheim and having such fond memories of that game system, I'm immediately like, oh, that's Mordheim. But there's all sorts of battle plans and different things, raid and ambushes, naming your heroes, and mercenary companies. And they talk more about mercenary companies because now they're introduced into pitch battles, which we'll show you here in a second. Then it gets into match play game section, which is really important because obviously that's where a lot of us play, because we go by points, we show up at tournaments, we play in leagues, and for the most part, they're run by these things right here. So you've got new pitch battles, which they show you the battle plans. The names all sound familiar, but trust me, they have received some sort of update, and they even have a little thing in the corner saying 2019. Some new rules as well, which we'll talk about, new command abilities and stuff. Getting into meeting engagements, more battle plans, and different things like that. Conquest Unbound, that is where you're actually getting into your rules. So all those allegiance abilities, all those things that we saw in Generals Handbook 2018 for the people that didn't get a new codex update in the past year, which was a lot. So the remainder, people like the Darkening Covens, the Dispossessed, the Free Peoples, the Seraphons, these actually were all updated. I looked at the Iron Suns, and the Iron Suns are actually different for the Orug. So that was really cool to see. Or excuse me, the Iron Jaws were different, and then those are their War Scroll battalions as well. So some of this stuff is different, so don't overlook it. There are new and exciting things in here for these guys, hopefully holding them over till we see Seraphons later in the summer. Well, that's the rumor. The Wood Elves and Slaves to Darkness, I'm sure at some point will get their content. So let's flip through this real quick. We talked about the players' code of conduct. The Open War Army Generator goes by force size, force points limits, and then you can it tells you like, hey, what a horde is and what you can bring for each one. Pretty cool. I read through it, and it's very in depth, and it's very it might be a little bit more work than what you're willing. You could just play points. I don't know. It's up to you guys. Yeah, obviously it's in here. It's available to use. Perhaps you like, oh, hey, maybe I have all these units. I just want to flip this thing and see what it makes. Open War terrain, you need certain terrain features, which is, most people have this stuff already, I suppose. And then it gets very visceral and very specific about table quadrants, and even breaking each quarter and, each table quarter into 6 different equal pieces. And then they give you all of these things right here. And what I did notice, if you're a Sylvaneth fan, is they have some really good shots of the new trees that are coming out. And at a cursory look, the footprint looks to be about the same as just the old Citadel wood itself, which you don't see here. And I believe they said on their Facebook page, you can still use the Citadel wood instead of one of these, but there might have to be an asterisk next to that, because if you are going to use the Citadel wood, well, this is 3 pieces. And if you haven't read the new Sylvaneth Codex that was published on iTunes already, each one of these each terrain feature can have 3 to 6 pieces of these, but if the Citadel wood is about that big, that's only 1 for every 3. So I don't know, just be respectful, you know, remember the player's code of conduct, try to be respectful with your opponent, and try to size it up appropriately so you're not having an advantage in everybody over anyone or anything like that. And it really seems to put an emphasis on terrain pieces being bigger than 10 inches wide. In this section, and also in another section in the back under match play as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Close quarters battle generator. This could be perhaps how they generate, you know, new battles and exciting things, because they have all sorts of cool little deployments right there. And then of course you can do objectives, twists, ruse, and sudden death if you want to do open war and you want to go about it that way. Hidden agendas, you're actually going to need these later on in the match play tournament system. Narrative play games, like I said, Streets of Death, it feels like Blood on the Streets, like the old Mordheim stuff. You can have arcane objectives, which you roll for when you roll up on, and they could do bad things, like there's a plague, and that's crazy. Who knew? Regiments of Renown, you can once again get kind of level up your duders and your stuff if you want, using the narrative thing. So if you're running a campaign or something at your local store, that seems pretty neat. Alexia, we'll go with Alexa. Maybe it's Alexa. Who knows? The Shattered City. Feels like Mordheim. There's a lot of stuff in here about, you know, just kind of street fights and things inside of cities. It definitely feels like Mordheim. Raids and ambushes. Again, kind of, you could kind of use it in that scenarios or outside, whatever you want to do. Naming your heroes, we don't have to go into all that. And then they've got the mercenary companies, which are for match play. You can use them in pitch battles. And that's pretty cool. We saw some of this stuff ahead of time, and just remember so the big thing is these guys count towards your allied points. They don't they don't have their own keyword. They take away a command point from you at the start of the game because of their disruptive presence. But other than that, as long as you fill out this little compulsory kind of thing right here, you can field them. So that's pretty neat to see. So yeah, lots of cool stuff on that. So why not field? And they don't have to be the same faction as something else. You can have dwarves with Beastclaw Raiders, or you can have undead, you know, Lichmaster stuff, skeletons in with Oruks, whatever you want to do. You can just shoehorn them right in. Pretty neat. Going into match play. Not a lot of this has changed. 2019 update right there. The chart's the same as far as I could tell. And you have the new pitch battle plans right here. They talk about if you want to roll off and play the old ones, you can if you really want to. And here they kind of get into terrain and kind of some of the stuff about pigeonholing you into terrain and specific terrains. But they definitely note any other terrain features no more than 10 inches across its widest point and no more than 10 inches tall at its tallest point, because then it starts becoming unique, like that whole like watchtower thing, which is really cool to have. But remember, terrain, it kind of works differently in Age of Sigmar, and you kind of have to measure around it, and it can be impassable and blockable and all that stuff. It's just very weird. Just be aware of it. Command abilities. These are new ones here. Rerolling ones for 1 CP for a unit within 12 inches of a hero seems pretty good. This is for attacks. This is for your saves. Rerolling ones. Wholly within 18 of a friendly hero that is a general, or 12 of just a friendly hero. And then rerolling ones to hit with the same restriction, 12 of a hero or 18 of a friendly hero that is your general. Pretty cool. Scenery tables back, you got all that. And then the new battle plans, which as you know they have in 2019, and they are different. This one was just the old slash right down the middle, and now it's per quarter. So check all these out. They have changed. Then getting to meeting engagements. Pitch battle tournament profile thingy is what GW is going to be used. Following rules are used for pitch battle tournaments that we run ourselves. They can be used as written in your own tournaments or modified as you see fit. But remember, number 5 right here, or where is it? You are given a copy of the player's code of conduct and must give a copy of your army roster event to the organizers. So there it is. So they definitely are holding you accountable. Here's the results form. And I really like this, a schedule to adhere to. Start at 9 to 10. Pro tip, if you want gamers to be at your event at a certain time, tell them to arrive an hour ahead of time, because we're all on gamer time when it comes to Saturday sometimes. So just keep that in mind. Meeting engagements is the new thing, and I really like this. 1,000-point games of Age of Sigmar. Just jump in, have some fun, boom, nugget out, and you still got the rest of your day. And they even say here, you can play a tournament, a 5-round tournament, in the same amount of time it could take to play 2 games of a single pitch battle or something. I think that's whatever. Well, you get the point. You can run a lot of these games in not a lot of time. So you can have the GT level experience of 5 games in potentially 1 day of tournament play. And there's a little bit different restrictions right here, which they show you. Something about double-sized units. They get into that over here, which is anything that is where is it in here where it has the extra, I forget, they call it a different word in here, and it was throwing me off as well when it comes to, because they use the different wording. So this thing right here with the max size, so anything over the minimum size but not necessarily the max size is considered double size. That's what it is. Okay, so double sized units, you can't have any here in the spearhead. In this main body you can have a battle line, and in your rear guard you can have any. And you're probably wondering, what's the spear guard, main body, and rear guard? You have to divide your armies up when you're playing, and then they tell you what turn your forces are going to come in and what territory they're going to come in as well. And then there's some specific rules on how they actually fit in if they can't fit on the table, because it's you have to fit in 3 inches. So they kind of explain that right here, which tends to make sense, and I'm really glad they addressed that right there. There's more specifics, like you can only have 1 endless spell, and a couple of other things right here that were really important. Unit limits 3 per war scroll as well. So just kind of keep it in mind that it's cranked down a bit, so there's going to be a little bit different, but probably for the best, you know, to be quite honest, to keep it as balanced as it can be, so to speak. Because now we're talking match play, now we're talking pitch battles. You know, that's the name of the game, is to be on the same level as your opponent and let the tactics and the gameplay kind of, you know, determine the victor there. So you can see the different battle plans here, and where they show your particular diversification of your army in the meeting gauge setup. You can see where they all come on depending on the battle plan right here, which is pretty cool. So then meeting engagement tournaments, you can even do meeting engagement tournaments, which would be even quicker, you know, because now you're playing 1,000-point games, super easy. So you can do pitch battle, you can do meeting engagement. They have pretty much anything in here that you want, which I think I juxtaposed this when I just talked about it, but that's okay. We're going fast, and I really want to show you guys as much of the content in here that's really important as I can. So allegiance abilities, this is going into everybody that basically doesn't have their own battle tome. They're going to get command traits, they're going to get artifacts of power, they're going to get some sort of cool abilities as best they can. Some of them have more than others, some of them get battalions, but for the most part, it's very similar to what you saw in the Generals Handbook 2018. And just slightly refreshed. Perhaps we'll see very similar stuff in the Seraphon Codex that's rumored to be coming out at the end of summer. And Wanderers, who knows if we'll ever see those. Slaves to Darkness right there. And then you've got the Iron Jaws. And the one thing I did notice about the Iron Jaws that changed was the fact that you don't have to roll 6s to get the double thingy. I think that was right here. One for Leon, can fight. Yep. I think it was you had to do that on 6. But either way, there are some things that are definitely different that I noticed in here, as well as the 2 battalions. So make sure you check those out. And then here's your meeting engagement roster, which you could probably photocopy this. They give you permission to, which will give you a little bit easier to split up your units right there. If you're playing 1,000 points, this is probably enough space for you. Let's be real about that. So that is our broad overview of the new pitch battles. Now, let me slide into your opinion DMs and tell you what I think.
Whew, that was not as short as I thought it was going to be. I just talked for 18 minutes. That's crazy. But either way, I feel like it was short and concise as I could have made it, with an emphasis on the code of conduct, which seems to be an emphasis for Games Workshop. If I was a betting man, I would say expect the General's Handbook, or excuse me, the chapter approved book for Warhammer 40K coming out in December to very much mirror what's happening here, with a pull-out section of the rules and a ton more content and specifics on match or on 40K competitive play, and also more content and perhaps 1,000-point game emphasis right here. That's my prediction. Now, what I would like to see as a consumer is this Games Workshop is redundant. Straight up. It's 2019. You literally put out a piece of content that is already out of date. This is out of date. It's 5 releases out of date. So those 5 factions that I just named that are in here are not even reflected in any changes. So chances are they're going to put out a PDF, or maybe they have already announced this, with those point changes as soon as the Generals Handbook goes live. So everything will be digital on the Azir, and it'll be great. Trust me, it's fine. But here's the thing. Why is this important? It's not important. This literally not important, guys. Like, why is this in here? I'll tell you what I pay for as a consumer. I would pay for this, because there is a ton of good content in here that you can't get. And of course, this is stuff that's going to be in a battle tome. So this probably should be in a book here. But new ways to play the game, and match play tournament scenarios, the new meeting engagements, the new battle plans, stuff for smaller games, open play generators. This is all valuable content that I think a lot of folks would pay for. If Games Workshop, if you're so worried about people not buying this book because of their points, I have a solution for you. Here it is. And it won't give anybody the feel badsies. Because if you're going to force me to get this in my book, that's fine. That's cool. I like game aids. I like having this in my hand. I like being able to see it. Give me a PDF printout when you update those points that I can literally stick in here with a little stick of glue, and I can just cut it out. I can literally replace the page, and boom, right there, I have an analog piece of content that is going to reflect all those changes. So I don't feel like I just bought something that's out of date, guys. It's kind of redundant in 2019 that we are literally putting out something that's already out of date. And I get it. It takes 3 months to crank these things out, float them over the boat from China, and get them in stores. I completely understand that. But I think those are the 2 solutions. I don't feel like I should pay for this. If I had bought these battle tomes and I have bought all these things and you have changed the points, that's basically an update. That's a free update. I bought Windows with my computer. Oh, we had to update some drivers. Cool, free download, easy. But I bought these books, this set of rules, I spent the money on it. I just want the point changes for free. I get that the rules are going to be different, and that's going to be in an FAQ, and I'm cool with that. But charging and putting a premium on something like this, and then when it releases is already redundant, and then if I can't update this book that's already redundant, I get the feel badsies. That's my opinion, and I went very hard in the paint on it because I feel very strongly about this. And you're going to hear the same exact thing in Chapter Approved in December for Warhammer 40K. Guys, the internet age is here. We got to embrace it. Like, there is no reason we can't have this in digital format, but this is important still. And I would pay money as a consumer for all this great content, including the 1,000-point games, because I think that is pretty neat. So going forward, lots of great things still in the Generals Handbook 2019. Love to see the updates, the pending updates for those other 5 factions, as well as how they're going to handle this whole thing next year as well. So that's it for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. Sorry this video went really long. It's like 25 minutes. I really wanted it to be 10 minutes. I just couldn't stop talking. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on our video.